We all struggle with anger. We all have moments where anger gets the best of us, and it can be gripping. Oftentimes, we displace our anger onto something I call an anger target. And an anger target can be a person, a place, a thing. It can be a group. Sometimes it's a person on television, someone that's a celebrity or a politician or a media personality. And then what we do is this: we project all of our anger onto that person. Look, in ancient cultures, there would be communities that wanted to cleanse themselves of their sins, so they would take their sins, they would put those sins onto a goat, and then they would kill the goat. It was a scapegoat. That's where the term comes from. The scapegoat really took the burden of the community's sins. And in the same way, we have today what I would call an anger target. So we have that person, that place, that thing, that group of people. Maybe it's a person from your past, someone who hurt you or made a mistake around something with you. And maybe it was long ago even, but still to this day, when you're angry, somehow you allow yourself to take out all your anger on that person and somehow bring your anger back to that person. Look, when you do this, you can keep this on repeat. I've watched people hold on to their anger targets for years. And the unhealthy aspect of that is this: quite simply, it's not accurate. Your anger target often is not the source of your anger in this present moment, but you allow yourself psychologically to keep beating up on this particular target. And here's the deal: just as much as maybe that person from your past who hurt you or made a mistake around you in some way might be your anger target, and you might be all well and good with that until you realize that if a person's following a similar logic, you might very well be someone else's anger target. And can you imagine that? You might be surprised to know that you're this person's anger target. You might be surprised to know that you live rent-free in that person's head. And on top of that, you're bearing the brunt of this person's anger and oftentimes visceral hatred. And why? Because we just keep building it up and building it up. So be mindful of your anger target. First of all, it doesn't really help you. It doesn't help you because even though you've allowed yourself to channel your anger toward this target, the reality is that that's not the source. And so you're not handling the emotion of anger effectively in that moment. To be able to truly help yourself deal with it from the best version of yourself in the most conscious way possible, one of the things you can do is directly address accurately whatever is the source of your anger in the present moment. Now, I have other videos and I teach, and in books and things like my newest book, Walking Through Anger, I talk about how anger comes from sometimes our mind's desire to match our body. Sometimes, for instance, when we're hungry, we get hangry. And really, when you think about that, hunger is located primarily in the hypothalamus, the part of our brain that's steeped in the middle of our emotional center of our brains. And so it makes sense why, when we're hungry, we feel agitated, irritable, and can even get angry, or what's known colloquially as hanger. And it makes sense, right? If we're in the anger part of in the emotional part of our brain, it makes sense. Now, again, we might feel physiologically angry because we feel agitated. Again, let's say that the source is hunger. And if we have an anger target, we might allow ourselves, when our mind is racing to make sense out of why our body feels the way it does, to project anger onto this anger target. But is that healthy? Is that helping us? Is it accurate? And I would argue that oftentimes it's simply not accurate. I'm not advocating a don't worry, be happy, or just think positive mentality, because while that's all well and good, it's oftentimes not reality. It's not about thinking positively. It's about thinking accurately. And accurately, it's usually not the anger target that's the source of why you feel the way you do. If, on the other hand, you could get to the source of it, if you could understand, for instance, that sometimes we would rather be angry than anxious. So when you're dwelling in anxiety and you have all this excess cortisol and adrenaline going through your body and it doesn't feel good, then you're more likely to, call to mind that anger target and go off on the anger target. Why? Because it feels better to be angry than to be anxious. But again, I would ask you to challenge your anger target. Now, your ego is going to want to hold on to that anger target. Your ego is going to want to say, no, look, you're 100% right with however you think, and your anger target really is the source of all your problems. But unfortunately, that's not reality. To push yourself, to grow, to become the best version of yourself, I would encourage you, I would invite you to be able to challenge even your own ego. Challenge that concept of anger target in your mind. Work through the anger that you're experiencing. And if you can, to the best of your ability, be accurate about specifically what is causing your anger. One final note on this concept. I talk about in other videos the concept of sans adjectives. It's a technique I use to help people work through their anger. In other words, sans means without. So sans adjectives means without adjectives. So think about whatever it is that's angering you. Think about all the adjectives you use to describe or hype up that anger in your own mind. I can't believe this stupid, dumb, idiotic, blah, 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 blah. And then take away all those adjectives and really just go to the heart of what you're experiencing. So-and-so didn't say the words that I wanted this person to say. So-and-so didn't do the action that I wanted this person to do. And the more accurate you are with your language, the fewer adjectives you use, the more balanced your emotions are going to be, and the more peace ultimately you're going to find. And again, that's the anchor of this channel and my career and what I've dedicated my life to, helping others find peace. So until next time, as always, I wish you much peace.